Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to Retro Flashforward, showcasing gaming's roots in the current generation. You know what, man? I was actually looking forward to this. I really was. So, we got another Pac-Man collection released a little while ago without too much fanfare. I mean, Namco's known for doing this. They put these out on a fairly frequent basis. And this one actually looked kind of cool, though, more than some of the other ones they released in the past. For starters, it was a collection that was exclusively focused on Pac-Man, and it had a number of different titles in it, including some of the more weirder, off-the-wall ones. And I was like, yeah, you know what? This could be pretty cool. I have no problem paying decent money for retro collections that are done well, and especially ones that go outside the comfort zone a little bit. So I thought, hey, let's check this out. Well, I am not so much saddened as, I dare say, angered to say that this is what we got, and it's pretty craptastic. So we are looking at Pac-Man Museum. We are looking at the PC version today. There is an Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network version of this as well. Don't know how those are, but I imagine they have a lot of the same frustrating limitations that this does, which I'm going to show you. So yeah, so you may have noticed one little thing here. There's no options screen. And that's not because this game has some kind of little front-end launcher on it where you set your graphics options. There are no options. None. I'm playing this with an Xbox 360 controller because it's far less frustrating than the default key settings, which you cannot change. And the game runs in 1280 by 720. That is 720p resolution. Again, you cannot change that. Not a big problem for me where it scales up on my monitor, but it makes everything look definitely washed out and stretched, and for some people with monitors that aren't as good, it's just going to look weird, and sorry, unacceptable in this day and age. It was unacceptable years ago, and now in a $20 package, absolutely not. That is ridiculous, and that is unacceptable. So big strike right there. Oh, but that's not where it ends, and that's far from the most grievous offense. So before we start here, let's go through what this collection has, because it is a substantial number of titles. So got the original Pac-Man, can't go without that. You got Pac-Mania from 1987. These are in a weird order in the menu, by the way. We have Pac-N-Pal from 83, Pac-Land from 84, Super Pac-Man from 82. This is one of my personal favorites. We have Pac-Attack, which is the Genesis game from 1993. Pac-Man Battle Royale, which is probably what's going to get a lot of people interested in this. This is a really weird arcade thing that came out only in 2011, but we're gonna go into that later. Pac-Man Arrangement, not to be confused with the far better Pac-Man Arrangement on the PlayStation 2. This is the weird half-assed version that was on the PSP. No, I don't know why that's the one they chose either. And Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man Championship Edition. Not Championship Edition DX, which is considered the definitive version. This is the original one from 2007. Now, an interesting little note about Miss Pac-Man. This collection is $20, which is a lot to ask even for the number of titles that are in here, because they're pretty old, and you've been able to get them in a million other places for less. But this is where it gets even worse. So I'm recording this in the middle of March. So March 13th, thereabouts. Is when I'm actually recording this. If you buy this game before the end of March, at least on Steam, you get Miss Pac-Man as part of the package for free. It's actually free DLC. Kind of cool, right? If you buy this after March 31st, it is an extra $5. That's an extra 25% just for one game, which is, albeit a very good Pac-Man game, but not that far removed from the original Pac-Man. Seriously, what the hell are they thinking? I don't know. Anyway, not going to spend too much time on that. There's leaderboards, and there's dumb unlocks for hitting certain goals in this. This is kind of how they doled out achievements when they released these games on the Xbox 360. You hit certain targets, you get stamps, because, sure. Pack Room, this is also more kinds of unlocks and stuff you got. We're playing on a clean save here, so I haven't unlocked anything. I don't really give a crap either. And then there's items which you also get. It's all meaningless unlocks. It's not tied to anything of value. It's not worth it. How to play, It just says, what are you playing with? So yeah, there's the key bindings. Yeah, I think it's on crack too, but those are the key bindings that you get. You can't change them. I think playing with the pad is way easier, and playing with the keys does not overcome a key problem that I'm going to show you here. So, okay, enough with the menus. So, problem number, I don't even know how many problems I've talked about so far. So, you see this is in a little center window on the screen, right? Preserving the original aspect ratio. This is the way a lot of enthusiasts like to play because they want to play it the way the game was originally designed and intended, right? Okay, yeah, that's fair. But say you're someone who's not that level of purist, and I mean, I'm a hardcore retro enthusiast, but I don't get that crazy about it, right? I got a nice 1080p monitor. I want to stretch this thing out, even if it maybe doesn't look as good. It's just nice to have it fill the screen real estate and not have this obnoxious background take up, 2/3 of the screen, right? So how do you do that? You don't. No, seriously. There are emulation collections going back to, like, the PlayStation 1 that allowed you to stretch out the games to fill your screen, even if that altered the aspect ratio of them or required them to look a little weird. If you were willing to make that visual trade-off in order to have it take up your whole screen, you could do that. Go back and look at the video where I introduced Capcom Arcade Cabinet for the Xbox 360, where the quality of that wrapper was so insane that you could bend and twist the arcade game's display into things that were completely illegible if you so chose, because the developers basically went, hey, you're paying a good chunk of money for these. If you want to do it, why the hell not, right? We're just going to let you do that. Yep, nope, this is all you get. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. For something that costs $20 for just a small selection of Pac-Man games, when you were able to get bigger collections of a whole varied amount of Namco games in retail form on consoles for the same amount of money not that many years ago, with more options, screw that. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. That right there is enough to make me swear off of this collection, and I'm someone who will pay, you know what, I own a large selection of Wii Virtual Console games. I will pay exorbitant markups to get retro titles on a modern system that's easily accessible. Yeah. Anyway, so I've spent a little bit of time on Pac-Man here. I haven't done retro flashbacks on any of these games individually yet. I will at some point. But we're just talking about the collection today, so I'm not really going to talk about many of the games very much. I'm just going to give you a little quick look at each one of them here. So, here's Pac-Mania. Now, you may notice by looking at this, oh my god, what is wrong with this video? Why does that look so blurry and washed out? Do not adjust your screen. That's what it looks like. Yep. This looks like hot garbage smothered in sewage sauce. Most people would probably don't... I'm not an idiot. Most people don't care. Most people who are just like, oh, Pac-Man, I kind of remember that. They don't have any real super fond nostalgia for it. They don't care how it looks. They don't care if the production values are a little bit off or if things seem a little... just a little bit out of whack. But you know what? A lot of the people who are going to buy this stuff are people who think that way. And this is just a slap in the face. This looks terrible. This is foggy. It looks like someone basically, spun the contrast and brightness knobs on the monitor the wrong way. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not that big on Pac-Mania to begin with. It's like they took Pac-Man and tried to give it a Marble Madness perspective in a way that doesn't really work. But if you're going to put it in the collection and charge money for it, then make it look right, or at least give me the option to adjust, the hue and saturation and stuff. Because this just looks like a bad, watercolor painting in terms of the pattern. It's awful. It's friggin' awful. Anyway, so you're getting the idea of Pac-Mania here. It's slightly different levels and this weird perspective, but it's still the same game. So... that's that. This one is one of the most egregiously visually offending in the game. Most of the others at least look and sound pretty well. They got the emulation well on that. But there's another major failing that I'm going to explain here. Now, unfortunately, I can't really demonstrate this visually, so you're going to have to trust me on this. So this is Pac and Pal from '83. This looks, it looks in many ways a lot like... Super Pac-Man, which actually that's really my jam. We used to have a Super Pac-Man somewhere I used to work in the common area, and I played it so much I could practically beat the first 5 levels with my eyes closed. And this is kind of a different variant on that. But here's the other big problem with this, and this is what makes it even more unacceptable than any amount of visual hiccups that these games have. Because most of the visuals in these games, aside from the fact that you're stuck playing them in a tiny window, they don't look too bad. But there is one really severe major failing here, which is that these games do not control properly. They have a very noticeable controller lag. And so I've played enough of these games to know when something is off. And what happens is I have tested this with both. I'm playing with an Xbox 360 controller right now, but I have also tried this with the keyboard, and I have a fairly high-end mechanical keyboard that is very, very precise. So the problem is that there is simply put, there's a lag. Whether you're using the analog stick on your controller or the D-pad or the keys, there is a very, very slight delay, and we're talking maybe a fraction of a second here, between when you press an input and when Pac-Man actually responds. So the problem is with that is that this is a game, especially at the higher levels, these games demand precision movement and precision timing. And the problem is, in order to do that, with the way this game plays, every input you have requires a split-second lead time. So you basically have to lead your character. You have to press the controller input about not even half a second, it's less than that. But you have to press the controller input just a little bit before you actually want Pac-Man to do something. If you don't, he's going to miss it. You're going to miss a lot of turns otherwise. That's unacceptable for someone, especially for score attack games like this. If you're a speedrunner or a real good score attack individual, that's a horrible thing, because that's a slight change in input like that basically means learning to walk again. And everything plays like this, including the more modern games in this collection. So this is Pac-Land, which this is just an oddity. Basically, they took Pac-Man and turned it into despite being an arcade game, they took Pac-Man and turned it into a really kind of awful looking platformer for kids. I'm assuming this was a platformer for kids, because it has to be, because this game is so unbelievably easy. I can blow through many of the levels in this game without much challenge, and I'm okay. I know my way around a video game, but I ain't no esports, you know what I'm saying? And this is trivially simple. It's a neat oddity, but it was never really a good game, and it's still not really a good game, but it's here anyway. The controller lag is even present in this, though this game really doesn't demand much in the way of precision, so it doesn't matter very much. But yeah, there is that little bit of controller lag in every game. Even the newer titles like Pac-Man Championship Edition have it. And I don't understand it. Emulation is a solved problem. The firmware in this microphone can probably run Pac-Man now, and Pac-Man has been on everything, and it is run much better on platforms far less powerful than even last generation video game consoles or a PC. And yet they haven't managed to figure out this controller lag issue, which to me, between that and this horrible screen scaling, indicates to me that they either didn't care and they thought this was a collection they could just put out to get some suckers who don't really have a particular fondness to plop down some money for, or the people who are in charge of developing this game really don't understand Pac-Man or don't understand what made those games good, and just couldn't be bothered to put the effort in to make them really solid. And that's just unacceptable. I'm sorry. This pisses me off. This makes me bloody angry that it's done this way. But anyway, that's Pac-Land. So, Super Pac-Man. This is my jam. This is arguably my favorite Pac-Man game. I put many, many hours into this game. When this game used to be in the break room at my work, like I said, I was at a point, I played this game so much that I could practically beat the first several levels. I could basically beat the first few levels of this blindfolded. I was that good at it at one point. I was now, admittedly, it's been a number of years, and I'm sure I'm not as good at this as I remember, but the input lag here is just Oh my god, it's brutal. Like, some of these things, some of these turns, like, you've probably seen me missing a couple of turns here and there. Like, they are all turns that I am giving far more than enough lead time on to be able to pull off. Like, like I said, you're gonna just have to trust me when I say that, but believe me, I know some of these games very well, and I know I'm doing it right. And it's just, like, why did it even happen? Like, if you had even semi-competent programmers on this is not a hard problem to solve. And, like, when it comes to almost any other Pac-Man game, I may say, you know what, maybe I'm just screwing this up, maybe I'm just not as good at this as I think, but I know Super Pac-Man inside and out. This is... I am skilled at this video game, normally. And I just can't play it the way I used to. It's literally like having to learn how to play this game for the first time. Having to do it with this controller lag. Also, you see that little hitch the ghosts take there? Now, maybe I was just playing an old revision of this arcade board, or potentially a new revision of this arcade board when I was playing this at my work, but that little hitch that the ghosts were taking there, I don't remember that. So maybe that at one point was part of the a certain revision of the game that they put in here, or maybe that's an emulation glitch. I don't know, but if it's an emulation glitch, it's not acceptable. So, anyway, so you get the gist of this guy. And I mean, I'm trying to go through these quick here because I don't want to make this video too long, but I mean, I can honestly, I could rant for an hour or more about this. This is my second take of this video, and the first one was almost 50 minutes long, just because I couldn't stop getting mad about it. So, all right, now here's a bit of an oddity. This is kind of a neat game, though, once again, it looks terrible in this screen aspect. So this is Pac-Attack, which is actually a Genesis game. Some of these games have really weird dates on them, and I don't know why. This says 1998. This game actually came out in 93. So I don't know if this is another weird version of it. But as you can see here, it's a puzzle game. Kind of like Tetris meets Pac-Man in a way that's pretty cool. So you got the basic gist of it right there. But let's skip that and get in here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I'm actually really bad at this game too. But I'll give them credit for this. This was actually really neat. So basically, Namco wanted an answer to Tetris or something like Columns, I guess. And what they did is they came up with this. So the idea is you're putting blocks down like you would normally in a Tetris game, right? And by making rows of those blocks, you can clear them out and get points for them. But what you can also do, there we go, is you can drop ghosts which come down in some of the blocks, and if you can line them up in a particular chain, what you have the ability to do is line the ghosts up so that when you get a block with Pac-Man in it, he will head out in one direction to play, depending on where you placed him, and if you place him the right way, he'll eat your chain of ghosts, depending on how you have it chained up. And you can get a whole whack ton of extra points that way. And it also mixes things up because that's the only way you'll clear ghosts out is by getting Pac-Man to do it for you. It's a really cool idea. This game is actually really, really neat. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even know this existed before this collection came out, so I guess I have to thank it for that at least. But it's pretty neat that this exists, and I think it's cool. Again, if the controller lag is present with this game, it's really not that important. I mean, I imagine it would get frustrating at some of the higher levels when things get really, really hectic, like it's already getting here, but at the same time, it's probably not that bad. But I think this is really cool. This is a game I could see myself putting some time into, but, you know, again, is it worth the rest of this package at a $20 price point? No, I don't think so. But that's a cool game, and a bit of an oddity that you don't see in many packs, so I'll give them credit there. We're going to come back to this one last, because this is what's going to draw a lot of people here, and I'm going to spend the most time on it. So, Pac-Man Arrangement, yes. Now, I'm not very familiar with either of the Arrangement titles, but apparently the one that was on the PlayStation 2 was the definitive one, and apparently has basically nothing to do with this game, which came out as part of a PSP package called Namco Museum Battle Collection. And, well, it's not considered very good. Really all it is, at least in the amount of it I've played, is, well, really, really horrible 3D Pac-Man with terrible models and this waving pellet animation that kind of gives me motion sickness. So basically, once you finish a couple of levels here, which maybe I'll see if I can get through if I have time, but if you get through a couple of levels, it starts to mix things up a little bit. It introduces different power-ups, like these weird little speed-up blocks, kind of like you'd see in like an F-Zero game or something like that. And it mixes things up like that, but it really plays like regular Pac-Man. I don't know why they didn't put the proper PS2 one in here. I don't know. Maybe some external studio developed it and there was royalties involved that they didn't have to do with this. I don't know. But this is pretty lame. Like, this is a 2005 PSP game, and even as early PSP games go, this is pretty shovelware grade. And the problem with PSP games is the PSP was a reasonably powerful handheld, but the problem was its games were made to be played on a small screen, and its graphics hardware reflected that. So you blow them up to a larger size, they kind of don't look so hot, and that's basically what's going on with this one. This game, despite, again, being in this horrible cropped screen window that you can't adjust, really just looks pretty ass, and I don't like it at all. Again, if you just want to play Pac-Man, there's other games in this collection that, yeah, look a lot more retro, but I don't think look nearly as hideous as this. So, don't know why they put that in there. Again, it's neat that it's an oddity, but it's pretty lame as well. All right. And here's Miss Pac-Man. Again, this is free if you buy this collection before the end of March, which I don't think you should, in case you haven't known yet. But at the same time, this is free DLC if you do that. It will be $5 after that, which is absolutely not worth it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Miss Pac-Man is a great game. Many people think it's the best Pac-Man game, at least when you don't suck at it. But $5 for what at the end of the day really just is a slight visual and mechanical reskinning of the base game, that's insane. Like, it's a 25% premium. Like, it's not even like you're buying a much more modernized thing or additional modes for another game or something like that. You're literally buying this half-assed emulation of the pseudo-sequel to Pac-Man for 25% of the cost of everything else in the collection. That's just bonkers. I don't know why they're charging extra for this. I think it's insane. It should be part of the package. I don't know what Namco's thinking. I mean, Namco does a lot of weird stuff, even as Japanese publishers go, but this just, okay, I don't get it. Anyway, moving on. So, we got that. Now are the two big kahunis. So, Pac-Man Championship Edition. Now, this, I love this game, and so do a lot of other people. This is one of the first modern Pac-Man games that did something different and really nailed it. This actually involved the original creator of Pac-Man, and it's a fantastic game. But here's the thing. This, again, is a horrible, gimped version of a better game. The ultimate edition of this is Pac-Man Championship Edition DX+. There was a DX version, which added much more to the original game, and then DX Plus added a little bit more. You can buy DX Plus on Steam right now for, I believe, $15 at regular price. You can also get it on the consoles as well, and on just about everything else. I have this game on my Windows Phone, just to give you an idea. You know, Windows Phone, which is generally a gaming wasteland, has this game on it, and it's a really, really good, it plays really well, actually. I really enjoy it. And this is what's so frustrating about it is, again, this is the original, like, not nearly as good edition. Like, this was good. DX was so much better a game than this was. But you get the crappy initial version of it. Again, no ability to change resolution, no options whatsoever. It's super, super limited, and there's a better option out there which is worth its asking price on its own, but it just feels like a horrible add-on in this. Like, why did you even bother putting this in here? Like, this is the version of this game that nobody likes in comparison. And to be fair, I haven't played the PC version of DX Plus. Maybe there's no resolution options in that either. I honestly don't know. I haven't looked. I probably should have. But still, this just feels like a half-assed add-in so that they could pad out the bullet points and say, hey, here's one extra product we can say we have in this collection. And yeah, this version's just no good compared to DX Plus. It was good at the time, but with what they brought with DX Plus, this is just, that is so much more superior a version. And it just feels like they threw it in here for padding. It's lame. All right. Now here's the big one. This is going to take probably a little bit longer than the other ones, just because this is an oddity. So, Pac-Man Battle Royale. This was a game that came out in arcades in 2011. It was released as a cocktail, like sit-down arcade cabinet. It was principally made for bars. I don't know what brought this about, but it's really interesting because it's basically competitive Pac-Man. 4-player competitive Pac-Man. So, what do I mean by that? Well, let's check it out here. This is based on the Pac-Man Championship Edition engine or technology or whatever, which is probably why they put Championship Edition in here, because it's the same thing. So you see here, eat power pellets, eat other Pac-Man. What? Yeah. So this is the thing. This is what's interesting about it. It's basically Pac-Man Championship Edition, but the goal of this is to compete with up to 3 other human players. Your goal is not really to... There's no score in this. It actually doesn't keep score. Your goal is not to eat as many power pellets and ghosts as you can. Your goal is to... Well, you'll see. So it's just me and an AI here because I'm playing by myself. You see, you can bounce off of each other joust style. And as you can see, you still have the same thing where you're eating pellets, and when you eat a certain amount or eat fruit, the level expands. Oh, but look, I ate a power pellet and now the other ghost is blinking blue. What's that about? Yeah, when you eat a power pellet, this basically turns into Pac-Man Cannibalism Edition. Because your goal is to actually attempt to eat ghosts, but also to eat other Pac-Men. And by doing that, there you go. So when all the Pac-Men are gone, the round is over. And per play, you get a couple of different rounds to play, and then at the end of the round, it tracks stats. So it will actually say who ate the most ghosts, who ate the most other Pac-Men, etc., etc. And that's basically how you compete and score. There is no numeric score in this game. It was a really cool idea, and I think with 4 people, this would be a blast. I know a lot of people from a lot of podcasts and that I listened to who played this were like, hey, this is really awesome, and they really thought it was neat. I always hoped that one day I would get a chance to play it, and I was like, that's really cool that Namco is actually putting this out on other systems and giving people a chance to play this who maybe don't have a bar that chose to invest in one of the machines. Yeah, that's... Oh, he got hit by the ghost. And that's really cool. And you know what? We're in an era right now where local competitive games are becoming really popular again. We have games like Towerfall, like... oh my god, I'm blanking out here. We have games like Towerfall, we have games like Nidhogg, we have games... I can't remember the other one, the ninja one. Anyway, where getting people to crowd around a TV to play games, not online, but in the same room, has become a thing again. And I was like, this could be a perfect thing for that. If I'm having a group of friends over, or we're having a LAN party at the office or whatever, this would be a great thing to do. We can have a bunch of people sort of come together and play this thing for a little while, probably when we're all drunk, and have a lot of fun. Yeah, sounds good in theory, except, well, look at it. This is a game that came out in 2011, and we're still playing, like, this collection's only running in 720p, and yet we're, again, stuck in a tiny little cropped window. I don't understand it. Like, there's no bloody way that this is going to that they're going to tell me that this game ran in such a low resolution in the arcades in 2011 that they actually had to crop it down here. Like, imagine getting 4 people around a TV to try to play this way. Like, the first thing everyone would say when I set it up is, why is this all squished? This looks like crap. I don't want to play it this way. When you have games like Towerfall and Nidhogg and other titles like that that can run in full-on HD, like, why would you want to play this? It looks... Getting 4 players to look at this screen would be a terrible experience. But that's what they gave us. What's the reason? I don't know. I have no idea why it was done this way, but it's awful, and it's just, it's such a waste. They could have had the next, competitive local game hit on their hands, which has been a big deal right now. Samurai Gun, that was the ninja one. I'm sorry, I don't know why I blanked on that for so long, but instead we got this, which is probably going to interest no one, and as you're probably seeing here, playing this with just one computer AI is boring. Maybe if there was 3, it'd be more fun. But the AI is just essentially another ghost. It's predictable, like you can eventually predict it just like you can with the ghosts. And well, the computer suicided enough times, so that's basically the end of it. 1 most rounds, 8-1 ghost. And there you have it. It's such a shame, man. It's such a shame. This was a really, really, really cool idea. And it's just, I don't think I'd bother playing this with people because of this reason. And well, there you have it. That is Pac-Man Museum. Like I said, the PC version does seem to be worse because there are no resolution options, there's no ability to change your keys, etc., etc. That is obviously not a problem on consoles, but the Xbox 360 and the PS3 still have the same problems with the, as I imagine they have the same problems with the input lag, and they have the same problem with the cropping of all the games into those tiny little windows. I'm sorry. Unacceptable. Not good enough, Namco. You've done better than this in other collections. Numerous other collections have done better than this. There are companies out there like M2 which have shown what they can do with Capcom Arcade Cabinet and other things like that. Why didn't you go to them to make this for you? I'm sure they would have loved to do it, and they would have done such an amazing job. Instead, you brought this in-house and did this friggin' half-ass job, and you're daring to charge $20 for it? You charged $20 for other collections that were bigger and came on a bloody disc. This is a digital thing that has a decent number of Pac-Man titles, but also including several titles that no one would ever want to play anyway, and horrible versions of the ones they would want to play, and you're charging $20, $25 after March 31st if they want Miss Pac-Man? Screw you guys. I'm sorry, this is crap. Anyone who's a real enthusiast of this stuff like myself, this is a slap in the face to people who take this stuff seriously. And any casual player who would buy this because they have some kind of memories of Pac-Man, they're just getting ripped off. You're duping them with this. This is a crap product. Pac-Man fans deserve better, retro fans deserve better, and frankly everyone else deserves better. If you can find this on sale at some point for $5 or something like that, maybe $10 if you got a little bit more disposable income, I guess maybe. But honestly, I have the third place smartphone in the market right now, distant third place, and I can play most of these games on that phone better than in this collection, and for a hell of a lot less money. What the hell is wrong with the world when that's the case? So yeah, Pac-Man Museum, I think it sucks. Yeah, I'm kind of pissed off about it, and well, you should be too, because this is a spit in the face to fans. And you know what, Namco, the Pac-Man fans are the ones who originally made your company the powerhouse it is now. You should do us a little bit better than that, in my opinion. Don't buy this, at least not until it's a hell of a lot cheaper. My name has been Parallax Abstraction. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and I promise I'll be in a better mood. Take it easy.